Alright, Trigger, I need you to listen to my speech. Good morning everyone, my name is Ashley, and today I want to explain something that can seem confusing at first. Why most African Americans today vote for Democrats, even though in the past many supported Republicans. To understand this, we have to go back through history step by step. First, let's start with Abraham Lincoln. He was a Republican president who led the country during the Civil War and issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared freedom for enslaved people in Confederate states. Because of this, African Americans in the late 1800s strongly supported the Republican Party. At that time, Republicans were seen as the party of freedom and Reconstruction. During the period after the Civil War, known as Reconstruction, Republicans pushed for laws that gave Black Americans rights, including the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. Meanwhile, many white Southern Democrats resisted these changes. Around 1865, right after the Civil War ended, the Ku Klux Klan was first formed. This group used violence and intimidation to try to stop Black people from voting and gaining power. The KKK didn't just exist once, it came in waves. The first Klan began in 1865 and was weakened by the early 1870s. Then, a second rise of the KKK began in 1915, spreading across the country and targeting not only Black Americans but also immigrants, Catholics, and Jews. There was even a third wave during the 1950s and 1960s when some groups used the KKK name to resist the civil rights movement. This is one reason people today sometimes say Democrats were the party of the KKK. Because historically, many of those resisting civil rights in the South were Democrats at that time. But history didn't stay the same as we move into the 1900s. Things began to shift during the Great Depression. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a Democrat, introduced programs to help struggling Americans through the New Deal. Many African Americans began to support him because those programs provided jobs and relief. Then came a major turning point. Harry S. Truman, another Democrat president, made the decision to desegregate the U.S. military in 1948. That was one of the first big federal actions to challenge segregation. The biggest shift happened during the civil rights movement of the 1950s and 1960s. During this time, Democratic President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. These laws made segregation illegal and protected Black voting rights. Now this is where another important piece comes in, the Southern Strategy. The Southern Strategy was a political approach used mainly starting in the late 1960s, where Republicans began appealing to white Southern voters who were unhappy with civil rights changes. One key figure connected to this shift was Barry Goldwater. In 1964, he ran for president as a Republican and voted against the Civil Rights Act of 1964, arguing that it gave too much power to the federal government. While he said his reasoning was about limited government, many voters in the South supported him because they opposed the new civil rights laws. He ended up winning several Southern states that Republicans had not won in a long time. After that, more Southern white voters gradually moved into the Republican Party over the next few decades. At the same time, African American voters continued to move toward the Democratic Party, which they saw as more supportive of civil rights. So over time, the roles of the parties changed. The Democratic Party became more associated with civil rights and social programs, while the Republican Party attracted many conservative voters, especially in the South. Now, fast forward to today. Many African Americans continue to vote for Democrats because they believe that party better supports issues like voting rights, equal opportunity, and social justice. But it's important to understand this is based on modern policies and history, not just what happened 150 years ago. Finally, let's talk about misinformation. You might hear people say things like Democrats are the party of the KKK. While it's true that the KKK was originally tied to Southern Democrats after the Civil War, that statement leaves out the full story. It ignores how the parties changed over time. Political parties are not frozen in history, they evolve. African American voting patterns didn't just flip overnight. They changed gradually over decades based on which party was seen as supporting their rights and opportunities at the time.